Hey y'all, welcome to Strip Down with Marianne. I am Marianne. Thank you so much for joining us. Let me introduce myself. If you are new to the podcast, to YouTube channel, my name is Marianne. I am a survivor of childhood physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse, and financial abuse, and also human trafficking. So that is me. That is who I am. If you are someone who identifies with one of those things, thank you so much for joining. This space is for you. And if you are someone who loves one of those people who identifies that way, this space is also for you. This is also my trigger warning, y'all. That is what I talk about. And so if I talk about something that touches you in a way that does not feel good and you want to reach out to your safe people, if you don't have people in your area, reach out to me and I will find good organizations in your area for you. That's me. That's who we are. This is what we do here, guys. So let's talk about last week. So we're talking about me. First, this week we're talking about accountability, right? We're talking about accountability. And since we're being accountable, welcome to my journey. I did not want to do this because I have to do it because last week I told you I was going to talk about accountability. And so here we are this week and I have to do it. So here I am holding myself accountable, even though my brain was like, this doesn't feel good today because I am going to touch my own self a little bit and I'll be reaching out to my own safe people. So that's what we're going to do today, y'all. So last week, we talked about making a phone call and I told you guys how I cannot make a phone call, how my inability to not make a silly phone call resulted in some repercussions that were not fun and were not cheap. Okay. And so I had to go through all that and I was very frustrated with myself because, dear Jesus, I've done it a million times, right? And so I would really like to learn this skill. And what came up for me when I was like, boy, why can't I get this? I can, I went to school and I got degrees and my kids are all good. And, I've done some really hard things in my life, right? I've quit drugs and smoking cigarettes and caffeine. Well, I didn't quit caffeine, but I quit coffee, and stuff like that. And, I've done hard things, right? Why can't I do this? And part of that is accountability, right? I finished school because I kept saying out loud, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this degree. I'm going to get that degree. I'm going to keep on going. And because I said it out loud, my pride, right, my ego wouldn't let me. So that was how I held myself accountable through that. But what has come up yet again in my world is that I often hold myself accountable for the things that I'm unwilling to share out loud, right? I'm very good at finding mentors and finding other accountability partners for other things, the things I'll say out loud. But the things that are really hard and evoke some shame, boy, it's harder to find a mentor. It's harder to ask for a mentor in those areas. So those are the things we're going to talk about today is accountability and what to do about it, how to do it well. So let's start with some definitions. I Googled my friend Webster, y'all, and he said that accountable is required or expected to justify actions or decisions. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about being expected to justify your decisions. And then a mentor is an experienced and trusted advisor. Okay, an experienced and trusted advisor. So on my journey through all of this to where we got ourselves today, there was this space in my life where I had left my final trafficker. I was raising my children, whole mess of boys, and whatever random teenagers wanted to come live with us. And I was going to school. And while I wasn't being trafficked, I still had one foot in my trafficker's door, right? Because when you have been controlled your whole life, not being controlled is confusing. That'll be a whole nother episode, guys. but it was the first time in my life that someone wasn't controlling me. And boy, did I not know how to do that at all, right? And so I was in this weird space in my life where I was feeling shame for a lot of the things that had happened in my life. I had not yet recognized all of what they were or how they all came to be, but I was sure feeling the shame for all of what it was. And I was not willing to speak that shame out loud at that time. And so all of my healing was coming in private. I was going to school for psychology and mental health counseling and all of those things. So I was reading all of those textbooks, learning a whole lot along the way. I was healing my brain in some ways. I was teaching my brain, most definitely. I was teaching my brain how things should go, right? When I was reading, I would go, oh, well, but my brain feels this way. And so I was recognizing those things, but I was doing it all in a silo. I was doing it all in private. I was doing it all by myself because of that shame, which will also be a whole nother episode, guys. And so years had gone by, probably a decade or so, and a friend of mine, also a survivor, also a counselor, and she had called me and asked me, we had had a conversation about something, and she had asked me a question, and my automatic response was a lie. It was a lie. And we ended the conversation and hung up. And in my head, all that shame came back, right? Felt it. All of it came back because that was one of those things I'd already worked on in private, right? Because who wants to admit that they're a liar, right? But I had been a liar for all of my life. I come from a big family of liars. I had been a liar all of my life. I worked really, really hard to distinguish truth from lie, and really prided myself on getting the truth and correcting myself if I fell into an old habit, or correcting myself if I was just unsure and I felt forced to give an answer that I was unsure of. And so I learned all of these skills, and I was really doing so good. And so for that lie to come out in that conversation, I was like, crap, right? And so I called her back and I said, man, I don't know what just happened, bro. I said, I just lied to you. And she laughed at me. And at the time I thought, rude ass, right? But she laughed at me. And she goes, I figured out what's wrong with you. Which also sounds rude, but it really wasn't. And I was intrigued, right? Thank you, Jesus. Could you please tell me what's wrong with me? And she said, you've never been accountable. All the stuff you've done, you did by yourself. Like, who are your people? And I was like, what people? Who? What? So I didn't know what she even meant. Because remember how I said I don't know how to ask for help? Or I know how. I'm not very good at it yet. That's one of those things that I'm still working on. She recognized that I had done it all the stuff by myself, where my brain understood everything that was going on, but without me processing it out loud to another person, right? It was all up to me to decide if I was doing it right or wrong. Convenient. And so that's what started my journey of finding a mentor, of holding myself accountable for things. Now, I can hold myself accountable for little things, right? I am one of those people, guys. I am one of those people who makes their bed every single day. That's me. I'm the one. I enjoy it. I think it brings a sense of calmness to my life. It makes me feel good to see the bed made. I used to be a little bit nutso about if you touch the bed after I made it, but I've come a long way. That was one of those healing journeys also. You're even allowed to lay on it and take a nap now. I'll fix it again after you get up, but you can lay on it. So that was an easy thing, right? It was important to me so I could hold myself accountable easily. That's easy. Some things are harder, right? For a lot of us, it's our health. I don't go to doctors. I have people who try to help me go to doctors, right? I have mentors in that area. They're working their butts off, y'all, because that's one of my things. And so there are other things. For some people, it's, exercise or food choices or whatever. Those are harder things. And we always say, well, get a buddy, right? Get a buddy to go to the gym with, get a buddy to do a diet plan with, or whatever it is. So we know that we need companionship, relationship in this process of growing and healing and getting better every day. But we tend to not ask for it when it's things that we feel shame about, right? That it feels silly to me that I can't make a phone call. I went to school, I got all those degrees, I raised those babies by myself, right? And look at them, they're flipping amazing, right? Got kids of their own, they're doing great. I've done hard things. I quit drugs, I quit cigarettes, I quit, I quit lots of things. I didn't quit Reese cups, but I do eat fairly healthy most of the time. If you know me, exercise is not a concern for me. I might go a little overboard in the other direction. So, look at all those things I did. But the stupid phone call thing, right? Man, it's hard. And so we're going to talk about holding ourselves accountable in ways that matter, right? In ways that matter. So I have mentors. If y'all are listening, hey y'all. But I have mentors in different areas of my life. I have spiritual mentors for me, right? For my spiritual growth. People who I trust, who I reach out to, who advise me, who pray with me, who do all those things. I have trauma mentors. You heard me say that I will make a phone call in a heartbeat, or I will text somebody in the middle of my brain making confusing choices, where I will immediately reach out and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I'm feeling or thinking about it. Does that sound rational to you, or does that sound like trauma to you, right? I'll do that. I've got that down. I recognize how important that is, right? For writing, y'all, I'm writing that book finally. So as I'm writing the book, I have mentors who have written books before and can walk me through that process. I also have mentors who are survivors who have written books before, right? Who speak into a different lane than maybe just other authors might. And relationships. Y'all know I have not ever had a healthy relationship. I went trafficking and then we'll put a pause on all that. Just hold off on all that mess, because let me figure out what all the rest of my life was before I bring this into somebody else, right? But there are lots of couples out there who know, and single women out there who know that I am watching what they're doing because I admire how they're doing it. And I want to learn how to do it that way, right? I know how to do all that. And I could call any of those people at any time to get help in anything, really, right? Not just those lanes that they're in. They really are those kinds of friends and mentors. But I didn't call any of them for the silly phone call, did I? Well, no, I didn't. So this is just one more area. I need somebody who's with me. What is a mentor? An experienced and trusted advisor. I need somebody with me who's going to say, all right, Marianne, let's sit down, let's make the phone call. But can't do that unless they know that I have a phone call to make, right? They're not going to read my mind. They're not going to be able to say, hey, Marianne, do you have any phone calls coming up? That's ridiculous. I'm not a 5-year-old, right? I have to be able to say to them, here are the things on my agenda that I'm already anxious about, that I'm already like, yeah, don't want to do that, and let them know. And so that way we can check off. They can help me prioritize. They can sit with me. They can just cheer me on from somewhere else, right? But all those things are going to happen because I'm going to make a flippin' phone call, y'all. I'm going to conquer this. The other area that I don't have accountability is in my finances. Again, why? Shame, guys, right? Because money was tied up in so many bad things in my world, including people just taking it from me. And so I am weird about money. Okay. I'm weird about it. Money almost scares me. Like I'd rather someone else do it all. And it's not because I can't. I budgeted the whole time I had children. I was very good at everything I did as far as what I had to work with, right? I managed to do a lot with very little money. I managed to feed kids with zero money. I managed to do things, but I never had anyone sit down with me and do it. Now I've done Dave Ramsey, and I think if y'all listened to the last podcast, you heard how that went on A Very Capable Hot Mess. I went a little gung-ho on that one. But I don't have a healthy relationship with money, right? So I desire, it is my ambition, my goal, to have a healthy relationship with money. So I am also finding accountability partners, mentors, people who are just good with money. I don't want to be afraid of it, right? I don't want to have those feelings, the anxiety that comes up, because it doesn't matter if there's plenty or none. It doesn't matter. It all still feels the same. Okay. And so I want to do that better. So those are my things. Those are things that I'm reaching out to, that I'm doing. And I wanted to do this, well, I really didn't, which I told you guys. So I did last week, and then this week, not so much, because here I am talking about things that are difficult. But I also thought it was important to do it right now. New Year's is this weekend, and a lot of people like to do resolutions. I am not a resolution girl. I don't think they stick. I don't think they work. Okay. I resolve to do this. No, you won't, baby. I mean, who does? I think it's like 8%, make it even out of January. I might have made that number up, but I think I'm close. Instead, what I want to say is these are areas I want to grow. I want to learn how to make flippin' phone calls like a normal person, whatever that is. I also want to learn to just not be afraid of the money, right? To have a healthy relationship with money. So those are my things, and I am finding my mentors in those areas. But what areas do you want to grow? And not just this year, just where do you want to grow, right? Where do you want to grow? For a lot of people, it is your health, right? I'm still working on the doctor thing, y'all. We're baby stepping that, okay? But if you know me, I try to compensate by being super healthy in a lot of other ways. And so where do you want to grow, though? Is it your health? Is it your relationship? Is it your spiritual life? Is it your career? Is it, your home life, your relationship with your family? Is it your finances, right? Where do you want to grow this coming season, whatever season we're walking into here? Because it does always feel like a fresh start at a new year, right? Even though it's just one more day, it feels like a fresh start. And so I love me some fresh starts. Where do you want to grow in this season? What do you want to be held accountable for? And don't let that shame stop you, right? I'm here saying it to all of y'all. We can do this, guys. We can do this together. So in order to grow, you have to have that accountability, which means you have to have a mentor. We can't grow in a vacuum. We can't grow in a silo, right? We have to have community and relationship. So where do you find your mentors? First, look around you, right? They're all around you. You probably already know some people. You've probably already thought of some people as I've been talking. And so reach out to those people. If there's someone you know, someone you already have relationship with, this should be fairly easy. Reach out to those people. If there's someone you don't know very well, or go big or go home, y'all. Maybe it's, somebody out there. Like I would actually love to sit down with Dave Ramsey himself and let him try to fix my brain. But I'm not reaching out to Dave Ramsey, y'all. But I'm going to lower mine just a little bit. I think he's a little bit busy. But if there's somebody that you want to reach out to, call Dave Ramsey. Who cares, right? Reach out to them. Be bold. Be bold. And maybe I don't want that much accountability also, but be bold, okay? Reach out to whomever it is and say, here's what I want. And that's the next part. Be clear. Here's what I want. I am asking you to be my mentor in this area. Here is where I'm asking you to do that. Here's how I want you to help me be accountable. Here are the goals. Or I'm struggling to come up with a goal. Can you help me define a goal? Right? Because they might have ideas too, but you have to give them some input. They can't do it, okay? You have to choose. You have to say, I want to learn how to make a phone call. Here's what I'm going to do for you. I am going to give you a list each week of the phone calls I have to make that are giving me anxiety, and you're going to talk me through them every Wednesday, okay, at 10 a.m. So be clear, right? What I need from you, what I'm willing to do, how you're going to help me, when you're going to help me, and then, be accountable, guys. Be willing to go back and say, I had 4 phone calls to make. I made 1, right? Be accountable, because we don't get better if we're hiding under that shame. We don't get better if we're not willing to step outside and try. That's what I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for joining me. I think the podcast is everywhere now. So wherever your favorite platform is, please subscribe and share. Okay, please get the word out there. If you love this as much as I love doing it, please share it with all of your friends and family. Also, the YouTube is up and going. You can reach out to me there as well. I do try to interact with anyone who posts a comment. You've heard me say before, if you say something nasty, I'm going to let you go, okay? You can still watch me, but I'm probably not going to interact. And so please reach out to me. And also, TikTok. TikTok is so much fun. Those are short things, sometimes about what we talk about here on the podcast, sometimes not. Sometimes other things that need to be talked about. And there will still be YouTube shorts. I know I said I was thinking about it, but I think that some content also needs to be there. That's it, guys. That's what I have for you this week. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy New Year, y'all. Merry Christmas, all those things. Peace.